Hamas launched an offensive attack on Israel, killed innocent civilians, and that's why Israel is defending itself with force now. That's logic we've been hearing come out of not just Israel, but the entire Western political and media world to justify Israel's attacks on Palestine. But why is this perspective problematic? Because it completely ignores a key element of truthful reporting: context. What is unfolding today has its seeds in history. To fully understand the devastating events unfolding in Palestine today, we have to rewind it back to the year 1947. On November 29, the UN General Assembly approved a partition plan that would give 50% of Palestine to the Jews, in line with a Western-backed Zionist movement that sought to create a Jewish homeland in Palestine, which came to be called the Holy Land promised to the Jews by God. In 1948, the State of Israel was manufactured at the expense of the indigenous Palestinians. The Palestinians experienced the first Nakba, the forced expulsion and ethnic cleansing of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homeland for the establishment of a Jewish majority state. Between 1947 and 1949, at least 750,000 Palestinians became refugees in their own land, with over 530 of their villages destroyed and about 15,000 Palestinians killed in a series of mass killings and bombings by Zionist forces. Some of the most atrocious of these acts included the Baldat al-Sheikh massacre on December 31, 1947, which killed up to 70 Palestinians. The Sat massacre on February 14, 1948 killed 60 Palestinians after 16 houses were blown up. And then the Dar Yassin massacre on April 9, 1948 witnessed the slaughter of 110 Palestinians, men, women, and children.
הם לקחו והעמידו 10-15 ערבים בשורה על יד קיר, גברים, נשים וטף, וירו בהם ככה. בחוץ. הם נשים שירויות. יש נשים לא ירויות, יושבות בפינה ובוכות.
After being taken prisoners, villagers were paraded through Jerusalem's Old City by Zionist militia forces to publicize their victory over Dar Yassin. In 1953, Israel committed another massacre in the West Bank against the village of Kibbutz, where about 70 Palestinians were killed and 45 homes were blown up. In 1967, Israel seized the remaining Palestinian territories of the West Bank, Jerusalem, Gaza Strip, as well as the Syrian Golan Heights and the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula, in the infamous Six-Day War, the Nakba. Another 300,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homes. By 1973, Israel had built 17 settlements in the West Bank and 7 in the Gaza Strip. The first Intifada erupted in the Gaza Strip in December 1987, after 4 Palestinians were killed when an Israeli truck collided with 2 vans carrying Palestinian workers. Protests took over the West Bank as young Palestinians threw stones at Israeli army tanks. This was also when Hamas came into existence as an armed resistance group against Israel. The Israeli army's response was characterized by a break their bones policy, which included summary killings, destruction of homes, deportation of activists, and university closures. Over 1,000 Palestinians were killed, including 327 children. More than 157,000 Palestinians were arrested. During the Second Intifada starting in September 2000, Israel caused unprecedented damage to the Palestinian economy and infrastructure. It began occupying areas governed by the Palestinian Authority, along with rampant settlement construction, destroying Palestinian communities one at a time. Palestinians responded with mass protests and civil disobedience, only to be met with Israeli aggression in the form of rubber-coated bullets and live ammunition. In the first 5 days of the Intifada, 47 Palestinians were killed and close to 2,000 were injured. By the end of it, almost 5,000 Palestinians, including 1,262 children, 247 women, and 32 medical personnel were killed. Amnesty International found that 80% of those killed in the first month posed no life-threatening danger to Israeli forces. In June 2007, Israel imposed a land, air, and naval blockade on the Gaza Strip, accusing Hamas of terrorism. The next decade witnessed 4 protracted military assaults on Gaza in 2008, 2012, 2014, and 2021, during which thousands of Palestinians were killed through the use of internationally banned weapons, such as phosphorus gas. Tens of thousands of homes, schools, and office buildings were destroyed, while Palestinians continued to be displaced from their homeland. And then, let's talk about recent events. In fact, year 2022 was among the deadliest years for Palestinians in the West Bank, with 170 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces, including 33 children, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health. This year was also when prominent Palestinian American journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was shot dead by an Israeli soldier while covering Israel's raid on the Jenin refugee camp. Like its other war crimes, Israel was never held accountable for this either. 2023 witnessed multiple Israeli police raids on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. In April, during the holy month of Ramadan, heavily armed officers in riot gear stormed in the mosque, desecrated it, and used clubs to beat Palestinian worshippers inside. At least 50 Palestinians were injured and at least 450 Palestinians were arrested. Today, these facts and historical contexts have been ignored. What has also been ignored are the decades-long international law violations committed by Israel, which has been documented by the United Nations and human rights organizations. These violations include unlawful killings, abusive detention, blockade of the Gaza Strip, development of illegal settlements, and discriminatory policies against Palestinians. Since October 7, Israel has arrested more than 4,000 Palestinians in Gaza and over 1,000 in the West Bank in overnight army raid. Today, mainstream media is covering the events unfolding in Palestine as though they are an isolated reality, when in fact, there are 75 years of ethnic cleansing, massacre, displacement, and war crimes committed by Israel behind them. To ignore the past 7 decades is to ignore the facts and the truth behind the Palestinian diaspora.